Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. We've got to very quickly get straight into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll introduce you to a little guest in the commentary box here tonight. 20 seconds to go before we get into this Miami Grand Prix. It is a sprint week in the Legacy Division. We're going to be going around a circuit where we're expecting some high-octane action. But that usually is what happens in the Legacy Division because, you know, it's the Legacy Division. All the teams want to fight out to try and be the best that they can be. Here we go then. So, with the one-shot qualifying, they've got very little to try and make the best of this particular session, though the advantage likely is going to fall in favour of the BRT men at the moment at the top of the championship. Leading forward then at the moment, we are currently on board at the moment with this man at the moment, Duncan, GT10. Not having the best of season so far, but so far not a bad couple of corners, put himself into the top 10. Leading towards the front, Quantum in 6th place at the moment, actually managing to climb ever so slightly as he's had a good set of corners, actually putting himself now up into 3rd and 4th place, actually now breathing down the neck of Agonized at the moment. Now not an ET8 man at the moment, as his gamer tag would suggest. He is a driver represented by FRT. Keep an eye on Quantum though, and Volakongan. Well, what a beautiful name to see back in the Legacy Division, representing Team Shizou, chucking the car through the left-hander at the moment. Quantum losing time, maybe a high downforce setup on that Alpine at the moment, which of course means, well, in that scenario, it means that the car is not going to be faster on the straights. Keep an eye out then. Here we go as TF10 Renz goes fastest, going through the second sector. He's absolutely flying high at the moment in that RB. And of course, don't ever forget the TSRL World Champion in Mateo at the moment as well. He's chasing down Renz down the main straight at the moment. Oh, there's Jarino and Quantum suffering from the high downforce on the car. Coming through the final couple of corners, Mateo briefly gets ahead with a late breaker, but I have a feeling TF10 are going to be smiling from ear to ear. They take pole position for the sprint race. As you can see, he's in the background there. I don't know if he was celebrating or not, but either way, he's certainly going to be happy with that one. TF10 Renz is on pole for the sprint. It is myself, James Otter, alongside, well, it's a guest commentator tonight because we thought we'd just sort of mix it up a bit as well. So, Cotcast, Tier 2 commentator over in WOR. Thank you very much for being alongside us tonight, my friend. WOR Legacy Division, completely different environment to Tier 2, but nonetheless high octane.
Absolutely, and all of the teams, they've got more pressure on them this evening because not only are they racing for themselves, they're racing for their teams as well. For example, Renz on the top, racing for his relatively new team, TF10, taking that pole position by quite a large margin, 1.15 seconds.
Yeah, and then you take a look down at the bottom, 4 disqualifications for track extensions, including Agonize. It was agonizingly close to the top, actually, but Gatkowski did not settle up time due to various reasons, as we'll get to, actually, when it comes to the drivers, because there is the grid for tonight, and as you can see, whatever happens tonight, the first of the FRT drivers will be serving a 5-place grid penalty. TF10's Thomas will also be serving that 5-place grid penalty, so TF10 rightfully putting the 5-place grid penalty probably on the driver that they think is not going to be as fast. Renz on pole for the sprint, going to be a good thing for TF10 at the moment, especially when you consider the standings, because at the moment they are trying to climb up and they are agonizingly close to the Tatum Racing team at the moment in the Ferraris. 7th and 6th separated by just 4 points at the moment, and then scroll up all the way to the top. Bunga Racing team leading the way on 4.66, but critically, they're not in good form at the moment, and that is a door opportunity is opening for the likes of the Cedar Phoenix Igniters, currently in 2nd place at the moment, who at the moment their team starting to find a little bit of form across the esports sphere at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, and they don't seem to yet be feeling the effect of losing Danny Van Ruyten. I think a few of the drivers they've just taken that step up. They've gotten they've taken the pressure and they're just absolutely using it to full effect. And they could be putting the pressure on the Bunga Racing team for the top of the standings tonight.
Yeah, critically, and as well as the drivers are just trying to question whether they're going to be getting going or not, as the track has got a little bit overcast here in the depths of Miami at the moment. And that is well, going to be the question mark on the head here is the sprint race going to potentially bring some of the weather that we might not expect on the coast of Florida? That would make it a bit spicy, wouldn't it, actually? Because the Miami Grand Prix, not that much in the way of elevation, which means the water doesn't really have anywhere to go. So the water becomes stagnated pretty quickly on this circuit. Well, they're going to make for some interesting situations if people don't adapt quick enough.
Yeah, and I mean, it's hard to overtake at Miami at the best of times, especially when it's wet and there is no lines off the main racing line for you to be able to overtake. If it does get a little bit slippy on the outside line, we could be seeing gambled moves, and moves that maybe don't look like gambles turn into those sorts of things. You think about turn number 1, that will be incredibly wet, especially on the inside line. If we are to see something that we may be, that may be on the cards, it's overcast at the moment, but hey, you never know. Could get worse. Hopefully, will get worse. So we get something just a little bit extra to be thrown in there.
People in the chat, thank you very much. Every single one of you tuning in. 59 of you immediately popping into the stream before we get going with this sprint race, as the drivers have been told now it's time to ready up in this one as well. People saying, why are we in 720p? Well, I'm going to be perfectly candid with you guys. I do not have a suitable computer that will be able to stream this stream in 1080p at the moment. I promise you, when I have enough money, I will fix that problem. At the moment, though, this is the best you're going to get, as these drivers are going to do the best that they can with 4 and 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a... Go, the drivers, here they are, going down that inside line then. Matteo, the world champion, of course, in TSRO, will be looking to make an early dive potentially on Renz, and that's exactly what he's done. Put him under pressure, but he will be off camber, and of course, Renz will be able to defend from that one, no issue whatsoever. Quantum able to hold on around the outside and stays into P3 at the moment. Taking a quick look at the position change at the moment. Gerino making the jump for CPI against the TF10 of Tomasetto. Remember, Tomasetto Ella is at the moment is going to have to take that 5-place grid penalty at the end of the sprint race. Dive from Silo for BRT. This is critical here for BRT. Of course, they had a really bad sprint race when it comes to their particular standards. And as a result, of course, the championship leaders are on the back foot, and they have been for a few races, to be honest.
Yeah, and they're going to be desperate to get any sort of points out of this one. As to the inside goes Tomasetto. He's trying to make that move back. There's a bit of contact, and Silo's still trying to keep a tyre, and he does succeed. There's a tiny bit of ghosting there, and Silo sends it around the outside into the chicane. Tomasetto has nothing in comparison, and he's going to have to stick in behind. There is yellow flags out right at the back. There's a car gone round, and well, the green flags are back out. I think that may have even been Lolo down into P19. Yeah, he drops to P20 now. Tomasetto still trying to challenge here. He pulls to the inside line. The final corner, the final braking zone will beckon, and Tomasetto will try to squeeze Silo as much as he can. There's more contact, and Silo has to yield. He drops behind Tomasetto. He drops behind Mustache, but a controversial moment that could get even worse for him, as now there's another TTM driver on his inside, but Ghost King backs out. He's in a TTM sandwich at the moment, and you'd think that Mustache is going to try to help Ghost King get past.
Yeah, and then just a quick correction as well, as I'm chanting TSRL, I mean PSGL. I don't know what I'm on about at the moment. I'm living back in 2018 at the moment, clearly. Keeping an eye out on Mustache, though. He's managed to get the jump on Silo after Tomasetto, Ella, and Silo got into their own little scrap and ding-dong between the two of them, so Mustache has been able to benefit from this one. Of course, TTM on the back of, shall we say, not the cleanest of form at the moment. Above 50 penalty points in this championship at the moment, so they could do with some clean races. Maybe a clean overtake occurring, as there's an overtake at the front. Matteo now taking the lead of this race, and Mustache deciding he's had enough of the position that he just managed to claim and goes one higher and goes up to P5. Quantum able to hold on to P3 at the moment, keeping the challenge on the front too, but now it is the PSGL champion who now leads this race, but keep an eye out on Renz, not comfortable on the rear.
Yeah, little wobble there. Which means that he's unable to get the exit to try and pressure Matteo, but the DRS halfway down that straight is going to help him just get that little bit closer, but he's not anywhere near close enough. TTM Mustache, by the way, 5th place at the moment, but he does not have that DRS, which means that that group of Tomasetto, Silo, and Ghost King are going to try and fight him back. Those are the 3 that are looking likely to take that position at the moment, as Matteo takes that fastest lap, and he is now trying to pull away from Renz. He's 3 tenths ahead as they head on to lap 3.
Tomasetto Elia at the moment, just trying to hold on, actually, and actually he's starting to get into a little bit of a scrap with what is now not really a co-compatriot in Silo. Looks like them two holding each other up very nicely at the moment as well. I'm not quite sure what people are complaining about as regards of the stream at the moment, so feel free to keep in touch in the chat whether it's just a quality issue. Unfortunately, 720p is the maximum I can offer. It shouldn't hinder your performance of watching what is going to be a very good race ahead of us here, but Silo not having the best start in this race. He's under a lot of pressure as Renz retakes the lead of this race, potentially 3 wide going into this one. Silo, though, 3-second penalty already for track extension limits. If he keeps up with this slightly more aggressive way of driving, you're going to find he's going to struggle in the main race here. Ghost King and Gian getting into their own scrap at the moment. This is Tatum and the top tier motorsport teams at the moment, 8th and 9th respectively, as a little bit of a front end snap from Ghost King. Gian doing the best job to try and overtake him, but Ghost King holding on at the moment. I'm keeping a firm eye on Silo at the moment. He's obviously not particularly happy after that scrap with Tomasetto Elia, and now he's playing a very aggressive game, and it looks like Tomasetto Elia and TTM Mustache getting into their own little scrap as the sister team gets overtaken by the main.
Yeah, Silo, I think, will just be... He's looking to get back those positions that he gained at the start. He only dropped 1 from his grid position, but he dropped just a little bit more. And, well, at the moment, he's trying to send it around the outside of Tomasetto Elia, who's attacking himself. TTM Mustache. Mustache trying to just cling on around the outside. That will open the gap up for Silo. And Ghost King making it 4 wide almost as they head through the first sector. Who's going to come out on top in this one? It looks as though Mustache has the edge. Tomasetto and Silo still side by side. Now into sector 2, there's contact. Down goes Ghost King. He drops down the field.
Yeah, there goes Ghost King. Goes into half spin as he tries to get up close and personal with Silo, but Silo closes the door on him. But to be fair, there's absolutely limited space when you're going 3 or 4 wide. So Ghost King ends up paying the price as a result, and he falls to 12th in this one. Jorginho and Quantum getting into their own scrap. Quantum been holding on to P3 for a considerable amount of time at the moment here. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more on the intense side now, where we start to see people start to play those games, and I think that's exactly what happened there. The DRS trains here, and actually I've just seen in the chat once again people making the point here as Owen says DRS games on lap 4, and I think that is probably what is happening at the moment, to be perfectly candid. Back towards the front here, we've got Matteo potentially getting into a scrap with Renz, but in the end electing not to go for the move going into the final couple of corners. So it remains Renz leading this race on lap 5 of 10.
But a wobble on the exit from him could open up the opportunity for Matteo to get past if he so desires, if he wants to make that move. But at the moment, he just wants to sit behind. Yeah, the DRS games are coming into it because we were only on lap 4. We're on lap 5 now. But don't forget, we're now halfway through this one. So the time progression, it doesn't feel as much as it is in this sprint race. And Matteo just, well, he wants to stay in that DRS, but dropping a little bit too far back, I think, to make it an intentional one. And Quantum will be looking to apply the pressure because, well, they don't necessarily want that P3. They want that P2. They want the opportunity to have that DRS on the final lap. They'll already be thinking about it. And Matteo closing back into Renz with that DRS. The games are certainly starting to be played. On board with Volakongan, that's Team Shazoo at the moment, because in fact we'll skip a ball to Gian because we've got a 3 wide moment happening for P5 at the moment with Silo, Mustache, Tomasetto, Elia, Gian trying to get involved as well. And remember, this is a little scrap as well for some big points. Of course, only there's not as many positions. Top 15 score points in the main race. It's obviously significantly less when it comes to the sprint race. Gian trying his hardest to get into that scrap, but when you're going 3 wide through there, you would expect that adding your car into that particular battle is the worst thing that you can do. Remember, Silo has that 3-second penalty. He got that for track extension issues, so BRT, unfortunately for him, are going to end up losing out on positions big time. He'll end up falling probably as far as P13 here as it stands. So Silo not in the best place. He's trying to hold on for dear life, but with that time penalty creeping over his shoulder, BRT are not going to be earning that many points with Justin down in 17th. Yeah, it's not the sprint race that Bungle would have wanted, and they'll be hoping in the race that they're going to be able to gain it back, as he could drop significantly down the field. He's at the lead of that pack at the moment, and everyone has DRS on him from 5th down to 15th. So I can't do the maths in my head, to be honest, to see how far he's going to drop, but it is going to be significant unless he's able to pull a gap on the rest of the field as they go into the final 4 laps of this race. Hian looking to make a move on Mustache. Maybe he's shaped to the inside, but he just doesn't have the run. And so he stays behind. This train is just a waiting game now. I reckon the lap 9, lap 10 is when the elbows are going to start to come out, but the tension is building.
Yeah, tension is building as people just start to try and navigate their way around the circuit without getting in too much of a tussle and losing time. As you can see, gap was around about 3.2, maybe a couple of laps ago between Silo and the front four, but unfortunately their lone little scraps and not paying attention with each other, they've decided that that top four is not worth fighting for anymore. Here comes a little bit of a late breaker around the outside for Quantum though versus Mateo. Dives to the inside to try and defend it, but Quantum's got the traction on the rear, and that's a testament to his high downforce setup that he's got on that car, and he's got also the toe of Ren's, but of course Mateo around the outside of that low downforce, it is just going to allow him to just pit the strategy on the inside, but then around the outside of the next corner, the position is gone. Quantum able to maximize his car, maximize his setup to take P2 out of the hands of Mateo. He's the one playing the patient game.
Yeah, and that first sector is going to be where Quantum gains that time, gains those positions, and he's going to hope that that DRS offsets the setup that he has on him. Is he going to make a move on Ren's in this DRS zone? We're going to have to wait and see. The DRS is open now. He is going to close in, but whether he's going to get past is another question. He shapes to the inside. He's going to go to the inside as they head now into the second section. It's very, very close between Quantum and Ren's. It's very close as well between Gerino and Mateo. Gerino coming out on top in that one. Jerry Van Bussel moving up into third place. And Quantum not able to make that overtake on Ren's. Lap 7 of this Grand Prix, and you've got a four-way fight for the lead of this race.
Yeah, PSGL world champion now not even getting a medal in this particular fight, as Quantum able to just play the patient game. Gerino doing exactly the same thing and now beginning their strategy call. Mateo wants to play more aggressively. This didn't work the last time. He got squeezed to the outside. He didn't have the traction, and there, look at straight away, Gerino able to get the jump on him. So Mateo trying the same thing. It didn't work the last time. It didn't work again. So he knows not to do that one again. He's smarter than that. We'll have to see. Lap 8 of 10 now, so 2 and a bit laps to go in this sprint race. And plenty of opportunities to make this overtake done. Towards the midfield, Tomasetto Elia leading the front from the 5th place train at the moment. 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th, all within close proximity. And don't discredit Duncan at the moment. GT10 into the top 10 of this sprint race at the moment. Could be on for some good points if he keeps the race clean at the end of this sprint race. So keep an eye out on Duncan here, because he might be in for some well-needed points that Grand Track 10 at the moment are desperately needing. And I think one person I'll be keeping an eye on as well, to be fair, will be Lafiti, because he's also a really quick driver as we're going 3 wide towards the end of the main straight. Gerino and Mateo getting into their own little scrapping and a little bit of a collision as Renz is trying to force his way into this petition, but Mateo not able to hold on here, and Quantum, who was on for P2, is now down to P4, and Mateo switching the position now up to P2. Gerino now leading the race for the first time for the Cedar Phoenix Igniters.
Yeah, and he took that opportunity with both hands. He now leads this race, and Renz, the race leader for so long, drops down to P3. And now he's not only got one car to get past, but 2. He needs to get past both of those if he's going to win this race, of course. That's a Will Buxton moment right there for you. But Mateo is in prime position now. If he's able to hold on to this P2 in the last 2 laps of this Grand Prix, he is in prime position to win this race. We saw it with Danny Beresne in F1 Esports. He led in Australia up until the final lap, where DRS was taken advantage of by all the drivers behind, and he ended up losing out. The same could be said for Gerino here on the penultimate lap of this Grand Prix. He does lead, but you'd say the advantage is with Mateo at the moment.
On board with Renz at the moment, as we're just seeing now what will happen on lap 9 of 10. Will people hold station, let Gerino run riot from the front and then go for it, or we're going to see some changes in position, I wonder, between the front 4. And I'll be keen to have a look at Tomasetto Elia as well. He's 4 seconds back, actually gaining that train on the front 4 at the moment, because they're in their own little scrap. We'll see though, but as you can see, Gerino under no pressure from anyone at the moment in this particular set of events, and straight into the next corner, everyone staying in fine formation as to be expected before we get into the end of this lap, and of course starting our final lap of this race. In the midfield, Tomasetto Elia holding on to P6 at the moment. Silo holding on around the inside against Gian and Volakong, and Silo, remember, has that 3-second penalty, so he'll fall quite a significant chunk down the standings, and that will actually promote the likes of Lafiti and Duncan. That's the EVE and GT10 drivers into point-scoring positions that are absolutely needed at the moment for the two teams at the bottom of the championship. Keep an eye out on Silo then. Is he going to go for it? No, not on this occasion. Of course he isn't. Lap 10 of 10 for the front four, though, as they start the final lap of this race.
And Matteo looks to the inside line of turn number 1, just trying to force a mistake out of Jerry Van Bussel. He's unable to do so, and so the next opportunity will most likely come in the next DRS zone if he's able to stay close enough in this sector. We've seen the low downforce setup work so far for him, and at the moment it's allowing him to keep the pressure on Jorginho, just to keep just that little bit behind, little bit too much curb from the CPI driver. Just tiny mistakes that are being drawn out that could cost him this race lead. It's the DRS zone that beckons for these top 4 drivers, and the DRS will be open just about now. It's right very close up to the back of the Aston Martin now for Renz. Could he be making a move, and could Matteo be making a move right up ahead? He looks to attack. Attack is the best form of defense, and the Aston Martin trying to exemplify that, not making that move on Jorginho, not making it stick, but able to ward off Renz just one more time. He's got one more DRS straight to go. Is he going to be able to take the sprint win home for ETA?
Yeah, this is going to be the question here. The last DRS zone here now. With the DRS open, will Matteo be able to get close? He is significantly closer here, and I have a sneaking suspicion that in the end, the Aston Martin is going to make very easy work of the CPI man, and unfortunately, he might be losing another position around the outside. He will go, but he's outbroke himself as TF10 Renz, and as a result of that one, he will drop to P4, and Silo's also made a position, but it will be Matteo who takes the victory in the sprint in Miami. Jorginho in second from Quantum, Renz, Tomasetto, Elliott, TF10 regardless, getting a great points finish. As I said, Silo falling to P13 with that 3-second penalty. Volakonga getting into the top 6. Duncan P9 with Lafiti into the top 10. In the end, looking at the back, Gatkowski not able to get a good sprint at all for CPI, down in 17th. And Lolo, of course, going for a spin earlier on alongside Agonize. They are rounding off the race and are just approaching the end of the main straight, the back straight rather, and they're about to finish this sprint race. In the end then, we have got, well, a good chunk of points in the form of the guys that, you know, Matteo runs riot with. He's going to be happy with that one. That's the form that he needs, and we know Matteo's good round here. He could do 4-5 times overtakes round here. We've seen it before. Casually, Iceman doing a 4-time overtake, a 4-place overtake rather, in the same corner in the previous races in the past. So, doesn't surprise me. Matteo is the winner of this sprint race.
Yeah, is he going to be able to hold on to it in the race, though? We will have to wait and see, but confirmation then of the finishing order. Matteo on top with Jorginho, Quantum and Renz pushing him close. It was on track Silo in P5. He ended up 1.8 seconds behind on track from that top 4, so they closed in significantly. But Tomasetto Elia taking that P5 in the end with Volakonga, Sergioli, Gian, Duncan, Lafiti rounding out the top 10, Christian in 11th, Ghost King in 12th, Silo down in P13 with that penalty. That is the lowest I was able to get before the game cut. But just having a look now, it was Rappies, Acid, Gutovsky, Justin, Agonized, and then Lolo rounding out the field.
So, with that one, we'll be taking a very brief break. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the standings. Of course, this is pre the sprint race. Bunga Racing Team leading the way on 466. Take a look at what happened as a result of that sprint race. CPI have closed that gap, haven't they, with that performance, as well as Team Shazoo, as well as, of course, ET8 with that fabulous win from Matteo. TTM have got some points as well. So, look at it like this. The people behind them have all scored, some of them pretty big as well. On the Bunga Racing Team, once again, BRT not able to find their form and are losing ground in the championship.
Absolutely, and the pressure's on them now to get that result in the real race, in the actual race itself, because the sprint didn't go the way they would have wanted it to, and CPI will be keeping that pressure on. Shazoo as well, they'll be trying to keep the pressure on as much as they can. Quantum ending up in that top 4 fight. Don't forget as well, ET8, they won that sprint race, and they're going to be looking to try to take a similar result in the race itself. Absolutely,
indeed. So we're taking a very brief break. We're going to get our water ready, get our throats and lozenges sorted out to make sure that we are in tip-top form for what will be a very intense Miami Grand Prix. Don't go away. Welcome aboard and welcome back to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. We are back now for the Miami Grand Prix. We are just about to get going with the new lobby. Of course, we are now in for a short qualifying session. It is just the 18 minutes to set the grid for the main race before we take another break. It is myself, Jota, alongside Cockcast again for what will be a pretty intense Miami Grand Prix race weekend. We've had an intense sprint race, Cockcast, and the stand-ins suggest it should have been Advantage Bunker Racing Team, but they really weren't there, were they?
Exactly. We mentioned it at the start about the poor form that Bunga Racing Team are in at the moment, and now they look as though their lead is a little bit shaky right at the top.
Yeah, it's not the situation that they need to be in at the moment. They are in the other esports events at the moment, and to be fair, the form that they're finding around there is of similar quality at the moment. They can be towards the front, racing for race wins, but they're not consistent at the moment with driver A and driver B, and we saw that in the sprint qualifying where Silo managed to get there within the top 10, but Justin was well off the pace, and take a look towards the midfield and towards the back. TF10 earned big off of the back of that one. Both of their drivers getting into the top 6. So that's the opportunity for TF10 in the midfield to close down on Tatum, who are not in great form themselves at the moment. They could rise to 6th. Keeping an eye out then what we've got as regards to the drivers. So 2 drivers will be serving a qualifying reduction, i.e. a grid penalty, with the likes of Tomas for TF10 serving the 5-place grid penalty. Rappy is not racing for FRT tonight, so it'll be a 5-place grid penalty for him. For whoever it is that's in him, Agonized is going to be racing the full length without the penalty, and then I'm going to be keeping a firm eye on the likes of Lafitte, but I am never ever discrediting Matteo. This is arguably his strongest circuit. I don't know to what degree you know of these drivers here, Cockcast, but you've got to say immediately out the blocks, those front 4 in the sprint race are the ones to watch.
Yeah, I mean, the sprint race is just the test of the ultimate race pace, really, and that's what they demonstrated there, because you've got 10 laps of you've got 10 laps of action, and that's just a little bit too long for somebody who's good at the sorts of time trial, short quali sort of things. And it's more towards the race pace skill and what can you do over an extended stint. And 10 laps on those mediums is what those drivers were able to do. And so, well, it is a good test, and it is a good demonstrator of the pace. And those top 4 demonstrated their pace just then.
So got a full correction then in the chat then from Luke, who's just popped a message into the chat. So turns out FRT and Rappy is racing tonight. Sorry, just to correct the marker here. It turns out Agonize is actually going to serve the 5-place grid penalty, not Rappy. So they've got more confidence in serving it in with Agonize that he can make those positions up actually. So a little change to what the graphic suggested in that one as well. So a little asterisk there for you folks as well. For those that are in the chat saying, can we please fix the lagging in the stream? That isn't lagging. You're watching a stream in 25 frames per second. I'm registered at 25 in here as well. The reason why you think it's lagging is because you guys are used to 50 or 60 frames per second. Unfortunately, I can't provide that with the computer power that I have got at home. I will fix that once I've got some money. I apologise if that is a problem for you guys, but it shouldn't ruin your racing experience in Legacy Division, because it is going to be an absolute fascinating racer ahead of us in Miami. Gian is the one we're on board with at the moment. TRT in bad form at the moment. They need to find a little bit more pace as the Italian outfit in the Scuderia. You know, what is TRT's problem at the moment? Because looking at what I'm seeing at the moment, there's an element of overdriving the car between their drivers at the moment, but equally, and this is a common problem that has been a problem probably for, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons now. Driver A and driver B, there's a distinct difference in pace.
Yeah, I think it comes from driving in the Ferrari. They're going to be a little bit inconsistent, trying to overdrive the car, trying to get up there, and I think they just need to take a look at themselves, reel it in. But yeah, the drive 1, driver B, drive 1, driver 2 sort of situation is one that they do sort of need to fix, because at the end of the day, this is a team event. There isn't a distinct championship that's separate from the team's one. They are still driving as a team, and TRT, they just need to, they need to work together. They need to work as a team in order to go higher up in this team event. Ren's going quickest, by the way, with the 124.6. Hian going in with a 25.0. and he currently sits in 6th place, pretty much smack bang in the middle of the order at the moment. He actually is smack bang in the middle of the order, as we now have 12 drivers coming in, but only 3 of them in the 24s.
Yeah, keeping a firm eye on Renz at the moment, or Gerino. That's Jerry Van Bussel going second fastest for CPI. I'm keeping a firm eye on Renz at the moment then. I was about to say, 2.5 tenths separating him from the rest of the field is an early indication, really good for TF10. Renz's qualifying pace is absolutely fabulous, but Jerry Van Bussel immediately putting the pressure on that McLaren, and that is the critical thing, isn't it, for the CPI. They are the team at the moment that are fighting for the championship in terms of trying to climb up the standings rather than defend it. They need to show that fight, and Jerry Van Bussel has immediately shown straight out the blocks that they're going for it. The question is where is Gatkowski? He's leaving the pit lane, and he needs to find some pace because he didn't have it in the sprint.
Absolutely, they won't have the pressure on them though from the teams in front. Because they are the ones that are applying the pressure. And Renz, at the moment, one of the quickest drivers on this field, if not the quickest. And at the moment, at least on his 1-lap pace, he is being the quickest. He's actually 3 tenths faster than anybody else in the rest of the field in that final sector. So you can see where they have prepared for TF10, that is.
And I've got more people trying their hardest here. Let's sacrifice the entire world prize pool for me to have a computer so you guys can watch this entire thing in 4K 60 frames per second. Guys, if you're willing to do that for me, I would absolutely appreciate it. Thank you very much to all of them and the sponsors of this event as well for buying me apparently a new computer. We'll see though on that one as we're keeping a firm eye on Gatkowski. He's on his outlap at the moment. We've got both of the GT10s there on in-laps at the moment as well, down in 13th and 14th respectively. You know, this is a critical thing now for Gatkowski. I know Gatkowski, I know what he's like. He's quite a hot-headed individual, to put it mildly. If this doesn't work out first time around, I know he will put probably undue pressure on himself to get it done, and then is more prone to making mistakes. So this lap from Gatkowski is actually more critical than perhaps meets the eye.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's harder to fight back than to fight forward. And for Gatkowski, he will be feeling that pressure to get this lap right. Jerry went up there in P2, and, well, Gatkowski, he'll be looking to match it. He didn't have the same pace as his teammate in that sprint or in the qualifying before, but he'll be hoping that that changes here.
Yeah, here he comes then, going through the next couple of corners. It's going to be critical that he keeps it on the absolute limit, but tries to give himself some breathing room so he doesn't put too much undue pressure on himself. Going through this Sector 1 split imminently, and then Gatkowski will be setting a 29.0. Not too bad, but not in the pressure of the likes of his teammate Jerry Van Bussel. Are we going to see another instance potentially of a driver A and driver B being quite separate here in the team's championship? Keeping an eye out then at the end of this first straight as one of the RBs gets out of the way of him. Perfect for the TF10 man, going then underneath the stadium section and invalidates his lap going into the stadium section. Again, that was a bit lackadaisical from Gatkowski. Didn't need to go that far out, and I think he just didn't know where his steering wheel was at the point of that occurring.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, he'll be feeling the pressure now he'll be feeling the pressure of having to set a lap now, and it could be going wrong for Gatkowski unless he's going to be able to get up there, to get another lap in, and to prove you completely wrong, I think is his aim. But well, at the moment, a lot of the drivers sticking in around the 25s. The 24s will be the target.
Certainly it will be. Gatkowski then immediately getting going, I think, with another lap here. In fact, I don't think he is looking at this. We'll keep an eye out on it anyway, but I think that's probably it for Gatkowski, unless he's just trying to have another go. I would be surprised, because he has got enough time to potentially dive into the pit lane. 29.0 is what he set initially. Did he abandon this particular event here? We'll see as he comes across right now. Yeah, 29.5. I don't think he's on a lap at the moment. He's the only one yet to set a lap at the moment, although, to be fair, Rappy and Acid have yet to set really laps that are sort of competitive at the moment. 30 thousandths of a second, though, separating Matteo from Renz. And once again, look at the front four. It's Renz, Matteo, Gerino, and Quantum. We did say, didn't we, that those front four are probably going to be the ones that are going to be at the front from the sprint race. They are in there, but Silo, once again, breathing down the neck. And once again, Lafitte for EVE, outperforming the Aversio Racing Series and specifically the Maltese team. Absolutely blisteringly quick for what EVE have presented to this Legacy division, and I think EVE would be wise to keep Lafiti in their roster for the new game cycle.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a driver with potential that could absolutely explode. Well, he's alongside Lolo, who at the moment does sit in P10 with time to make up.
Sorry to interrupt there as well on that one, but Sergio's just come across the line and immediately breached straight into the front four's sort of grip of the front four, and Sergio's coming there, and Silo welcomed himself into this battle as well here, so the track is starting to become a significantly less green, and I reckon that's because the overcast conditions have disappeared, and with the sunshine now beaming down on the circuit, the track temperature is rising and the soft tyres are switching on.
Absolutely, and we'll see the track evolution get even more dramatic as we get along the session, as the track rubbers in and as everyone gets even quicker. So at the moment, the times that are at the top will not be the times at the end. I can almost guarantee you with Renz looking to take the first pole position for TF10, he's probably going to have to set another lap. If he felt that lap was perfect, he could set exactly the same lap and go a few tenths quicker. That is essentially what happens with those track conditions. It just grips up just that little bit more. You have that little bit more ability to do whatever you want within reason on this circuit. And, well, I think that Ren's pole position is going to be under threat.
Acid, what is described as a verb now as Magnusing that corner, going through there, exactly the same corner in the same car as well, funnily enough. Just not able to make the corner after turning into the corner a little bit too soon and nearly hitting the wall, and then bites into it, and unfortunately has to dive into the pit lane. Does GT10 Acid as well, and I do owe him a little bit of an apology as well, because there's been a couple of times that I have brought up what was a pretty atrocious Imola performance where we saw him unfortunately get disqualified from the event for too many corner cuts or too many track extensions during the race event. So yeah, it's just not the nicest of situations to occur, but I promise not to bring it up too much, because of course everyone is on their own story and their own chapter, if you will, of their excuse me, esports sort of story, and unfortunately for him, he's just got a little bit more to learn. Keeping an eye on Gatkowski at the moment in the McLaren. Of course, CPI, once again, big separation between Girinho and Gatkowski in the form of the fact that Gatkowski hasn't set a lap time. Invalidated going through the stadium section. So, opportunity knocks again. 6.5 minutes to go. Might not be enough pressure on him to potentially force another error. But again, as I said, quite the hot-headed individual is Gatkowski. We'll see how he performs on this particular lap. It's just about to get going.
Yeah, I mean, we said it before. We'll say it again. The pressure is on for Gatkowski to get forward and to be up there with his teammate. He's currently at the bottom, the only driver not to set a time. And to be fair, all of these are competitive times. It's only, well, it's almost a second between Renz and Rappies at the top and the bottom of the field. And, well, I think the target time for a lot of those at the back is maybe like maybe it's a 24.5 with the track evolution, with the fact that the sun's out now, and with the fact that the track is going to grip up.
Yeah, just seen a few people in the chat as well, just keeping a firm eye on it. ET8 Evil saying, I brought it up again. Yes, I did bring it up again, my friend. I hope you somewhat enjoyed me bringing it up. Keeping a firm eye on Gatkowski as he comes through the next couple of corners. This is where we saw him struggle a little bit with understeer perhaps, or maybe just taking a little bit too much speed through this corner where he track extended. We'll see what he does this time. No, learns from his mistake on this occasion, mounts the curves very nicely indeed, does Gatkowski, chugging through the left-hander and then powering down this back straight, of course, to the final couple of corners. Gatkowski looking to try and match the likes of Jerry Van Bussel. Now remember, of course, the track has evolved significantly since those lap times from Jerry Van Bussel came in. So I would expect surely he's going to be competitive. Renz with a 24.539 improves on his lap and puts nearly 2/10 on him versus Matteo as he then comes across the line right now. Does Gatkowski only 10th fastest with a 24.9? Is that a more conservative effort just to put something on the board knowing he's got the time to push, or is he not comfortable around here, I wonder?
I think watching on board on his lap, it did appear as though he was taking it very easily. I think he missed a couple of those apexes, and so he'll be going absolutely flat out on that last run. But he'll be happy now that he has set a valid lap and it is on the board. But he has a lot of time to make up if he's going to be up there with his teammate right at the top.
Better from Justin, now up in P7 at the moment, just looks like around a little bit over half a tenth, separating him from Silo. So this is the kind of thing that BRT needed. They didn't get it in the sprint, but Justin at the moment doing a decent job to manage that particular one at the moment, as he now heads down the back straight, looking to try and improve on his lap at the moment. Looks like he's actually abandoned this particular lap as well. They've been completely mugged off by the BRT man. But nonetheless, this is exactly what BRT need. They needed to perform on this one, and now they're doing a better effort to try and stay close together. They might not be next to each other because of the close proximity of the grid in Legacy Division, but when it comes to timing, as long as they're close to each other, the race pace will bring them together.
Yeah, and I mean the race pace, the DRS, everything will compound and make everyone just so very close. You saw the top four sticking in. Whether they all had identical pace or not is another question, but it was just that DRS that was able to keep them in there. Interesting as well to note that Matteo had a much higher downforce setup, and he was still able to keep up with them down the straights with that DRS. And I think if he's able to break away, if they're able to make a top four group there, my money would be on Matteo in terms of the race.
Yeah, and then you're going to keep a firm eye on who you think the favourite for pole is here, as Gareth Davis just popping into the chat as well. And it's nice to see Gareth as well. Hope you're doing well, buddy. Asking the question of who do you lot think will take pole position? It's a question I'm going to ask to yourself, actually. You know, Cockcast, you're looking at the situation at the moment. Renz is probably favourite for pole here. He's finding a lot of confidence, but you can't ever discredit Matteo, surely.
Yeah, I mean, Matteo, he didn't have the lap that he wanted on the last one. He was 2 tenths down, courtesy of being 3 tenths down in that first sector. So he's definitely got time to find. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to look past Renz for that pole position. But I'm going to throw one out there. I like being a devil's advocate at the best of times. I'm going to go up and back Jerry Van Bussel for that pole position. He's not too far off what Renz is able to set. And if he's able to maybe eliminate some mistakes, I think he'll be right up there.
Potentially, as we've got Renz and his teammate actually immediately setting out as they both work with each other on this final outlap. Tomasetto Elliott only in P6, but, you know, there's still quite a significant margin between him and Renz, but fast enough that at least they are, well, somewhat closer to each other on the grid. Take a look, actually, at the situation in relation to the leader gap. You can see the gap there between Tomasetto Elliott and Renz is just over 0.3 of a second, though you'd have to argue that Tomasetto Elliott probably didn't get the clean run on a circuit that is now significantly less green. So an opportunity is opening up potentially for TF10. If Tomasetto Elliott can get up there, they could earn some big points, and they might not just be chasing down Tatum, they may be even looking or breathing down the necks of the top tier motorsport team. Volakongan retiring from this qualifying session, doesn't think he can improve any further. In fact, he's retired because he doesn't have any time left in this one with only a minute to go. He will start no higher than P9.
Yeah, and you'd think that he's going to drop significantly lower than that, as everybody is on their outlap ready to set a qualifying time. And with the track rubbered up, with the track gripped up, you'd think that those times are going to fly down. As I said, 24.5 is the target time. Not only my prediction, but also what Renz has at the moment. And he's almost 2 tenths ahead of Matteo in P2. With quite a few of the drivers sitting back there now with a 24.8. So there is lots and lots of drivers that could be in contention for this one if they're able to hook out correctly.
Not too bad, less than a 1/10 of a second faster though, 77 thousandths of a second faster in the first sector for Tomasetto Elliott. That puts him down the breathing necks potentially of the likes of Jerry Van Bussel. Probably won't challenge Matteo initially if he can find more time in the second section. So he has a bit of a lock-up actually going down the main straight. So we'll keep an eye out, see how he performs then through the next couple of corners underneath the stadium section, and then chucking the car through the left-hander where he mounts a lot of the curb but gets a better exit as a result. And he's found another 87 thousandths in the second sector. His teammate Renz is just behind, by the way. He's improving ever so slightly as well. So typical of Renz at this point as well. He's absolutely flying out there. Question is where the rest of the field at the end of this one. Keep an eye out on Tomasetto Elliott then. This is going to be critical for TF10. Are both of their drivers going to be at least closer to each other than this? 5 positions separate them at the moment. Tomasetto Elliott comes across the line and puts it in P3, which is a good effort from Renz, who goes even faster with a 1:24.412. And a great effort indeed from Rens Thomason, who is absolutely flying. And keep an eye out on Matteo as well. Girino is just tucking in behind around the final, the back of the main straight at the moment. Here comes Matteo, looking to try and improve for ETA and try and put himself on pole. He managed to get the sprint race win. Can he match a pole? He cannot. Finds a tenth of a second, but stays in P3. Gian gets a great effort for P4, with Quantum only going P5 in the end. Girino looking to try and improve, but he's down in the second sector, but he's found enough time to put it in P3, and that puts him on the second row alongside Tomasetto Elia, who gets beaten by Silo and puts it into P3 as well. In the end, it doesn't look like the top four we're going to be able to hold on in the end, and it is going to be another mixed bag at the end of this one. Is Sergio going to improve? He's not, and once again, ETA separated with the driver A and driver B by a significant margin of over 0.4 of a second. Once again, ETA just having to prioritise Matteo. They need to find driver A and driver B closeness if the team event is going to be something that they're going to win. In the end, though, it's another pole position, the TF10 Rens.
It is. It's the first pole position of the season for TF10, and you can see that switch is paying off, at least from the team's perspective. Rens taking pole position by almost 0.2. It's 0.18 that he qualifies ahead of Matteo by, well, give or take, with Silo in that P3 for Bungo Racing Team. So there is something to shout about for Silo in that P3. There's something to shout about for Bungo Racing Team, but now he has the more difficult challenge. He now has to back that up in race conditions.
So there you go, then there's your top 14. We'll go down to the back of the grid in just a few short moments, but in the end, 0.3 of a second separating the top 5 between Tomasetto Elia and Rens. Once again, around about 0.3 is the gap between Tomasetto Elia and Rens. So TF10, small margin, but enough that it might cause a bit of an issue later in the race. We'll see. Down towards the back, Acid P19, Rappi in P20, Agonized in P18. It's not going to be a good race as it stands so far for the FRT team, as well as the Grand Track 10. Lafiti in an unfortunate position, P16. Expected better from him as well. The drivers will be getting themselves ready for a intense race ahead of us, but we've got to go for another restart. So we'll be back in just a few short moments. Don't go away. folks, you're watching WOR. This is the Legacy Division. We're just facing a few technical hitches at the moment as we just try to get the GT10 team into the lobby. Nothing to worry about at the moment, but, you know, classic Codemasters things. We'll keep you in the loop and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be racing in just a few short moments. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a second. In the meantime, we'll continue with the music. Good evening then, ladies and gentlemen across the world. Welcome aboard to WOR. This is the Legacy Division. Thank you very much for your patience as we just tried to get GT10 into the lobby. A few technical hitches as you would expect from the Codemasters franchise of games. But it is myself, James Otter, as usual, alongside, you know, a little visitor in the commentating box, you know, tonight. You know, my friend... You've got to look at it like this. It's been an interesting sprint race. We've had a very interesting qualifying, and it's a real mixed bag tonight because we thought that we had four sort of set paces at the front, but turns out at the other end, the likes of Silo and the likes of Matteo are liking to just chuck their car in there.
Yeah, I mean they're going in there with pretty much no expectation now because of what happened in the sprint race, especially for Silo. But the likes of Matteo, he didn't have any expectations heading into the weekend. Now it's completely changed. There is expectation because he's proven himself to be one of the quickest drivers in this division around Miami at least. So very, very interesting to note.
Worth making a note then of the grid tonight then. So these are the people that are racing for each of their individual teams. Grid penalties have been applied for previous incursions in other race events. Thomas serves a 5-place grid penalty for Team TF10 and Rappi does not serve a 5-place grid penalty. FRT at the last minute have decided to switch that over and have said Agonized will be the one that will run it because they think that perhaps there's a little bit more confidence in Agonized to make up those 5 positions after qualifying. Unfortunately for him, though, I think he starts at the back of the grid with that grid penalty rather. Towards the front, it's worth making note that it's a little bit of a mixed bag when it comes to the drivers. You've got sort of driver A, driver B across the entire grid. The only difference really at the moment, especially those of the big point scorers, is Team TF10 at the moment. Renz and Thomas are really close in terms of their pace at the moment. 0.3 of a second separating the pair means that they would have only been P1, P5. Of course, that would be P1, P10. You know, TF10, probably the closest out of all of the drivers when it comes to those in the big point scorers at the moment.
Yeah, and they're trying to make their way up the field. And that is certainly going to help them because one driver can help the other or vice versa, depending on how their races go. And in a team event, that can bring you a massive advantage.
full correction there as well from Luke. Thank you very much, who just had to just pop into the chat and leave a note. The reason why that they had to restart the lobby in its entirety is because there was a massive desync issue. And that is the reason why we ended up taking a little bit longer to get your eyes back on this wonderful live stream here in Miami. Now, I have done a little bit of tweaking to my stream in the hope that, fingers crossed, you're not going to face any massive issues in terms of lagging, but I have upped the bitrate a little bit, so it's now running at 6,000, so you've got a little bit more of a crispier quality as we're about to count down the lights. It's 1, it's 2, it's 3, 4, and it's 5 lights. It's 5 lights, and they are a... Go! The drivers, here they are, going down the inside line. Matteo will try and defend once again. We'll try and attack rather once again on Renz, but on this occasion electing not to go down the inside line and will actually follow him around turn 1. Silo trying to defend from the likes of Joey Van Bussel, who has not had the best start himself actually, but behind him, Gian and Quantum in their own little scrap. This is a battle for P5 at the moment between them, and we've potentially also got Justin in the mix as well. BRT could do with these points as well. They're in bad form at the moment, are the championship leaders, and Justin up position up into P6 at the moment. Position changes up 1 for both Quantum and Justin. Gian not getting the best start.
Yeah, it was not the best start for Gian, and he'll be hoping for TRT's sake that he's able to fight back up there. Acid picking up a penalty, Agonize picking up a penalty as well. It's not been their days. 10 seconds worth of penalty for both of them, and they are right at the rear of the field now, 18th and 20th. So I'm not even sure how Acid's got that 10-second, considering that he is down there. Sergioli trying to make moves. He's made his way past Mustache, and now he's making his way past Follow Kongan. They're side by side through sector number 2, and it's side by side ahead of them as well. Lolo and Tomasetto are going through the chicane, and Tomasetto squeezing him out. He gets out on top. Sergioli looking to pressure those two.
Yes, Tomasetto Elliott earning the 2 positions gain. Remember, he qualified P5, had to start P10 with the 5-place grid penalties on that medium tyre. Can go to the hard stint if he wants to, but there is the option of potentially going on to another medium tyre. Can go later on. The brakes actually makes a mistake, does Tomasetto Elliott, which is allowing Lolo to get into the mix. This is the EVE driver up in P9, but cannot make a way after that mistake from the TF10 man. Keep an eye out on Mustache and Valakongan. Valakongan not having a great start. Probably a testament to the fact he's started on the hard tyre. So on an inverse strategy, we'll take a look at the tyres in just a second. But that, to me, tells me that they want to go the distance, obviously, on the hard tyre. They're going to commit to the 1 stop, but that means they're going to have to accept that the race start is not going to be the fastest for Team Jizu when they're starting on the hard.
Yeah, but it means that towards the end of this stint, they're going to be quicker. Everybody's on the hards, actually. So
yep.
that disadvantage is nullified, and everybody else will have the same disadvantages early on. It's going to be difficult to grip up in these early laps. Silo, though, he's going to go for a move. He feels the grip is there. Huge lockup from Renz ahead of him, and that actually gets in the way of Matteo. It gets in his vision, and Silo's able to sneak through.
And ETA Evil in the chat saying, do not discredit Sergio. Might not qualified well, but he'll make his way forward. At the moment, showing his worth up into P10 and putting Lolo under pressure. Tomasetto Elliott, as I said, still holding on to P8 at the moment, but it is about the front 3, and I'm keeping a firm eye on Renz, who's just managing the race pace quite well at the moment. Keeping an eye on Matteo, who's, of course, the sprint race winner in the sprint race, which seems like an age ago now after that break that we just had. But this is going to be the critical step for Matteo. Can he take a sprint race and a major race victory, which will allow for a good chunk of points for ETA that they need at the moment, and will Sergio be able to make the way? He's up to P9 already, but Silo with the fastest lap of all 3 in front.
Yeah, I mean, he's showing the pace that he didn't really show in the first portion of this one. We've got 29 laps, a longer race, and this could be where Silo takes that advantage. The Kick Sauber is currently in 2nd place, and he's looking at the best set to challenge Renz right at the top. The BRT need a strong result here in 2nd and 6th at the moment. It's the strongest of everybody.
Yeah, strongest of anybody so far then, as everyone just starts to get into their formation. It's no longer a sprint race, of course. Now it's a marathon. So these drivers will be managing their own race pace, manage the tyres, manage the fuel loads, manage their electrical energy supply. Now, you may notice at the bottom of the screen, you think, hang on a second, where is my screen? I can't see where my drivers are at the moment, as we have a mistake, and it looks like Matteo has made an uncharacteristic mistake. I don't know if he's got involved in some kind of collision, but at the end of that corner, he's lost a bunch of positions. He's now down to P5, so he remains in the DRS territory, but a very uncharacteristic situation with Matteo, usually one who's calm and collected.
Yeah, it was not what he would have wanted, and now he drops down to P5. Which is, again, not where he would have wanted. He sits in that P5 spot at the moment, and he'll be wanting to make those positions back up. He's right behind Quantum, but he's feeling the pressure as well from BRT just in behind, trying to close in. That DRS will be available for him. It will be available for everybody apart from Renz, and that could benefit the other BRT. Silo continues to stay behind. I mean, talking about DRS train, DRS chicken in the sprint race on lap 4 makes a bit more sense. On lap 4 of 29, a little bit less sense, but you can see the benefits that they're going to gain. Silo just sitting behind. Everybody just sitting behind. The only moves being made are the ones outside of the points positions, and that was Agonized getting past Duncan for P16.
Keeping an eye out on Gerino then, who's now trying to put pressure on Silo. And again, not entirely sure what happened with Matteo in that one. Again, very uncharacteristic mistake from Matteo. Not the fact that you wouldn't expect a mistake from him, but especially at this circuit, unless he perhaps got hit. We'll have to see on that one as well. As Nevio in the chat just welcomed himself as well. Good evening to yourself. Nice to be alongside you in this race as Gerino, Jerry Van Bussel, around the outside then of this move against Silo. This will be one hell of a move if he gets this to work, but he's boxed in. So I think he'd be wise to let that one go, and he does exactly what I thought he would. He's just playing the patient game, but just reminding Silo, go on, make a mistake, because you know that I'm going to be there to swallow up any positions that you decide to give me. Gerino then in P3, Quantum in P4, Matteo trying to bounce back from that mistake. We shouldn't expect anything rash from Matteo. We know what he's like. He's got an excellent racecraft. We would expect that if the move's there, he'll go for it, or if it's not of benefit to him to go for it, he'll stay where he is.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not going to be a benefit to be in the lead of a DRS train at the moment. And Renz is currently feeling that. He's feeling the pressure from Silo, who looked down the inside on that first lap. Sergioli in P9, taking the fastest lap of the race, trying to break the DRS to P10, Lolo even. And he's actually been able to do it. Whether he's able to hold on to that as they head into the DRS is another question. And I don't think he will be able to. But troubling times for those P10 and below and the top 9. They'll be looking to try and break away. They'll be trying to pick people off lap after lap. It's like an elimination race up the top. And at the moment, Lolo is the one in danger.
100 of you tuning in at the moment. Thank you very much to every single one of you tuning in for this Legacy Division race. This is a fascinating race as well. We're over halfway into the season now with lap 5 of 29 in this particular race. So plenty of laps to go at the Miami Grand Prix. At the moment, advantage as regards the teams going to fall in the hands of the likes of BRT, up in 2nd and 6th at the moment. Justin, widely known not for his race pace to be at a little mistake there actually from him as well, nearly clipping the wall. Not widely known for his race pace to be at a race winning position, but able to be in there and really mix up the bag, and I think that's what they're relying upon him at the moment, being in P6 and putting the front 5 under pressure. As long as he stays in the DRS here, BRT are going to earn some big points off of the back of that.
Yeah, and it means that they'll be able to extend their advantage at the top, which we didn't look like that we were going to get at the start of this one in the sprint race, because yeah, they just weren't there. They've just set up for this race and they prepared for this race a hell of a lot more, because it matters a hell of a lot more. You get significantly more points for one of these, and well, it's to be expected then that they have practiced, they have rehearsed this event, and well, they've rehearsed for this specific scenario. They're 2 drivers within the top 6, and at the moment they are looking best by an absolute country mile. With Silo and Justin in 2nd and 6th. The second best team there is Matteo and Sergioli, 5th and 8th.
Yeah, Sergio doing a decent job actually in P8, and again, a shout out to ETA Evil in the chat who actually made that point about Sergio as well. Of course, Sergio being the driver who is now making a move on gear now for P7, said do not ever discredit the likes of Sergio, and don't ever discredit the likes of Silo, who's getting into a little bit of a scrap with Renz as well, and Jerry Van Bussel manages to get the move done under DRS, so they've decided, right, it's time to leave that formation, let's get the moves done and let's do some swapsies. So now Jerry Van Bussel is leading this race from Silo, from Renz, Quantum, and then again Matteo. Then you've got Justin in P6 again just holding on, and Sergio making inroads and staying within the DRS territory of the front 6, which means everybody is in the DRS train from P1 all the way down to P19 at the moment, with Lafitte 1.2 seconds back from Acid.
Yeah, and it's 3 wide actually for P2 as they head into the final braking zone. Silo continues to hold on to it. It's the second 3 wide moment of the lap in the lead pack, with, well, Silo and Renz, they were fighting away. They both tried to take the inside line. Jerry snuck through on the outside line to take the lead of the race, and he's going to hope to stay there. Silo, I think, might have tapped the back of Jerry in turn 1 there, but the top 4 pack can barely be separated. Yeah,
they're very, very tightly compacted at the moment, lap 7 of 29, and I just don't think that all of them are going to get into too many aggressive scraps at the moment, because they've got the race pace. They're managing the race pace of this entire grid at the moment. So all about making sure that people stay within touching distance. Here's Quantum, who's more than in touching distance. He's breathing down the backside of Renz at the moment as that Alpine Renault. Is he going to go for the move on this occasion? But once again, Quantum's high downforce strategy as regards to the setup is hindering him down the straights. Gets into a little bit of a tap up the rear of Renz in that particular occasion. Agonizing Christian getting into their own scrap down in P16 at the moment, as we're just keeping a firm eye on there. Oh, a little tap up the rear from Sergio versus Justin's just put him offline, actually, so he's going to lose a little bit of ground, you'd expect, going down this main straight here, and actually might offer Sergio an opportunity to get the move done on Justin. Is it a punt to pass, I wonder? I have a feeling BRT may decide to send this one to the stewards if Sergio decides to get this move done. Down the inside he will go, and he will have to defend it with like a line around the outside, will Justin. But Sergio surely will have the grip on the inside line. He won't have the grip on the outside of this of the turn 1 complex, but we'll have to see if Sergio decides to go for it. Matteo is boxing him in, so Justin's going to have to defend really hard if he wants to try and get this one done. He goes for the dive down the inside of the both of them to try and get this one done, and stays in P6. Matteo is hemorrhaging positions from a half spin, and he's now down to P9. He just can't catch a break.
Absolutely. I mean, his race pace is so very strong. He just cannot catch a break. As you just mentioned, he's really down on his luck today. And you'd think that now the Aston Martin Chargers, led by Sergioli, the call for him to be up there was actually almost correct. We'll see if it is correct, as DRS is open for him. He's able to just cling onto it for Quantum, but at the moment he's looking incredibly racy. So who else is looking racy? Jorginho and Silo. They were side by side as they headed into that corner. Jorginho once again got ahead, but now it's 2/10 between Jorginho and Silo, 2/10 between Silo and Renz, and 2/10 between Renz and Quantum. They are so incredibly close.
I feel for Matteo, as I said, he just can't catch a break out there at the moment. You know, he's just been managing his own race, and 2 situations he's been involved in, which has just resulted in hemorrhaging positions. Now down to P8 and now stuck in a DRS train, you'd argue, probably at least 4 positions lower than where he should be. And he has had enough of this one, and no one blames him. He gets the move done on Tomasetto Elia very late on the brakes and ever so slightly touches Justin. Probably a little warning sign to say, you know, I'm significantly faster than you, my friend, and I'm going to get this move back whether you like it or not. So he'll stay in P7 as the ET8 boys try to earn big time. Sergio known for his race pace, and he's making big inroads. Evo was right, and ET8 and the rest of the chat knew what was going to happen. Sergio now up to P5 and is suddenly the dark horse.
Yeah, he's actually closing on Quantum. He's gained 3/10 just in the last sector and the first of lap number 9. So it's still on for the Aston Martin to get something out of this race. Sergio now 5/10 behind Quantum. DRS is comfortable for him, whereas at this point last lap it was just about clinging on. So it's a very good performance from him. Justin looking to get past at some point soon. He looks at the inside line. It's 3 wide once again for the lead, with Jerry and Silo just cutting off Renz, and Jerry once again just clinging onto this race lead.
Yeah, Jorginho, Jerry Van Bussel doing a decent job, actually, is the CPI man at the moment, who's looking to take a very famous CPI win as well, of course, trying to earn as many points as they can to close down the gap on BRT. But as it stands so far, with Silo in 2nd and Justin in 6th, BRT will actually extend their lead in the championship with that particular result. It might not be an ideal race result, to say the least, but it is enough that BRT will be pretty happy with that one at the moment, with Gatkowski down the order in P12. Renz at the moment will be wondering, where the hell has my pole position suddenly gone to? I'm now on the bottom step of the podium. I've definitely got more pace in me than this one. Is he going to put pressure on the front 2, I wonder, or are they going to play DRS chicken? They're certainly doing that one, as they allow Jerry Van Bussel to still run from the front, as Sergio just defending from Justin, who is still putting pressure on the Aston Martin ET8 at the moment. But Matteo is breathing down the neck of that Kick-Sauber. There's absolutely no way he's going to let all of those situations that have led him to being in P7 get on top of him. He is better than that.
Yeah, and I think he has that race pace to be better than that. Renz coming under pressure from Quantum. There was contact between the two, and that has compromised Renz's exit and Quantum now trying to hold on around the outside, trying to take that position, but he's just going to slot in. Renz's straight line speed is just about too much, and it opens up a gap, actually. 3 wide once again. We're going to go 3 wide pretty much for the entirety of this race. Sergio's clinging onto the inside line. There's contact, there's huge contact, and that is involving Justin, who was just a passenger in that one. I think Renz was involved as well, but somehow he manages to hold on to P3. Justin makes his way up to P4. Sergio holding on to P5, and Quantum dropping down the order. He's now down to P6.
Yeah, so in that situation, that's just a testament to Quantum's setup, that maybe the higher downforce setup on that Alpine has just led, unfortunately, to some faster cars with the DRS open to make that overtaking, has now put him in that sandwich. So Matteo still in 7th. They want to get that move and go up to 6th, so he's at least sharing positions with the likes of Sergio. But Sergio at the moment looking to continue to put pressure on Justin at the moment. But as it stands so far, the race pace of the Bunga Racing team is absolutely fabulous and matching the likes of ET8. As it stands so far, the championship leaders are going to be extending the lead in their championship, and God knows they need that at the moment because they were so out of form. As we've got a spinning car at turn 1, it's Lolo who's having a really good race, to be fair, for the Eversio team. Unfortunately, the Maltese team now down to P18 and 19.
Yeah, what looked like a decent race for Lolo has turned into a horror race for EVE. I mean, Lolo wasn't having the best time of it in the sprint race in the first place, and now he's all the way down in P19 off the back of the field, and it's so incredibly hard to get back into the field once that DRS is broken. Speaking of DRS, Silo's using it to full effect again to get right behind Jerry, just trying to force a mistake once again from the McLaren. However, I mean, Jerry's flashing. Jerry is flashing, which means he's low on that ERS. So is Silo. Actually, most of them are flashing, so they have pushed all flat out as much as they can. Well, it means they're low, or they're completely full, and I think it may be the latter, which means they have been conserving. They are ready to push, and Silo, he's ready to attack Jerry. Jerry is in the best position he can to defend it. Yeah,
potentially here, but the question is he going to try and defend it, or are they just going to continue with this DRS train? I know Matteo has had enough of being behind Quantum at the moment. He wants to get this move done. Down the inside he will go, around the outside Quantum will go as he actually puts Sergio under pressure, but you'd say the lack of downforce is surely going to challenge the likes of Quantum going into turn 1, and they're going to bang wheels potentially, but in the end Sergio defeats him. Around the outside he will go. Oh, collision up the rear though from Sergio. Is that potentially going to cause him damage, I wonder? Either way, Quantum has earned big time around the outside of turn 1. What a fabulous move as he goes up to P5.
And he's got him back into the position that he would have wanted. Well, he was in P4. He's going to want that P4 back, but he's getting there towards the position that he wants to get back into. And at the moment, his race is looking a little bit better. It looks as though he and Matteo are a little bit more fired up. It'll be interesting to see whether in this team event there'll be team orders that applied between the two Aston Martin, between the two ET8 drivers, and whether Sergioli is going to let Matteo, who you'd say is probably the faster of the two, back through. But, I mean, if Tomasetto Elliott has anything to do with it, Matteo will fall back to P8 as he looks down the inside briefly. And, well, that break was, it ended up almost costing him a position. Volakongen trying to get back alongside. He was unable to take that position, but just a small mistake, just a small attempt of over-pressuring the car in front. It almost went so very wrong for Tomasetto.
Acid with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. It's the third person to get a penalty in this race here. Late breaker from Justin, trying to put Renz under pressure at the moment. Renz has been holding on to P3 for a significant amount of time, but BRT's race pace has been absolutely immaculate here as Justin trying to put pressure. Will get the toe from his teammate. He'll have to go for a late breaker around the outside. This worked last time for the likes of Quantum. Will it work for Justin, though, as he goes over the curb? And he might have the traction, you know, and Renz has to give the position up. It's another move around the outside of turn 1. Working an absolute treat, and the race pace and the race craft from BRT has been absolutely impeccable. He's up to 3rd.
It has been so good, and it's not what we expected at the start of this race. We said that they were coming under pressure for that lead of the championship. At the moment, they're looking to extend it, and they're looking like they're going to comfortably extend it, with Silo coming from 3rd, Justin coming from 7th. They're now in 2nd and 3rd, and they're able to work together to get past Jerry for that P1. So the CPI driver will be feeling the pressure, although Renz, if he's got anything to say about it, he will be throwing TF10 into the mix. Oh. Justin outbraking himself, which allows Renz back around the outside. It's difficult to go side by side through here, but they're going to have an attempt at least. Renz squeezing Justin to the inside line. That opens the gap for Quantum to come through, but the track squeezes Quantum out, it squeezes Justin out to the outside line as well, and Renz, he's able to get through. Crucially though, I think he may have lost that DRS. Indeed he has. He does not have that DRS, and now drivers are going to squeeze through. Sergioli is going to fight his way through. He's up into P3, and the podium is going to go the way of the ET8 driver.
I was saying the racecraft has been absolutely immaculate from BRT, but unfortunately for Justin, that wasn't one of his strongest choices. You've got to pick and choose where your fights are. Around the outside and going side by side with people through there, it isn't going to work, and it won't work when you're closing the door on people. Matteo, involved in another incident, has had enough. He goes down the inside line, catches Justin napping, sends him to P8, and now goes up to P5, does Matteo, as he challenges Quantum for P4. The two TF10 boys, 6th and 7th as a result of that one. Justin was in the podium positions at one point. He's now scratching the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very difficult to come back from that sort of, scenario that he was in. Renz as well, dropping down to P6. And we got new drivers right up the top. Silo goes right up to the very top. And it looks to be a fight between those two for the lead at the moment. As we reach the halfway point of this race, Quantum retakes P3. He wants that DRS back. 1.5 seconds, though, is going to be difficult to overcome with the two ahead. They're playing this perfectly. Silo and Jerry at the moment. They are just absolutely playing this perfectly. And those behind, the likes of Sergioli, who's prone to making an aggressive move. He could be making another one here as they head down to the final braking zone, pulling to the inside line. The DRS is available to him and not for the Alpine. Pretty simple move in the end. Pretty simple move for Jerry to move back up into the lead.
Yeah, clearly, again, that seems to be a setup thing, I think, for Quantum. Just doesn't have that pace down the main straight, as we've got our first pit stoppers finally coming in. There goes the move. Matteo has decided to bail in, as is a TF10 lad as well. TTM have also pitted one of theirs. So we're starting to see people say, I've had enough now of these hard times. We have got a few people who have elected to move on to a medium. Ghost King for TTM elected 1 lap earlier. Gian, I think, was forced into it 5 laps earlier. So he'll earn, of course, from the undercut. The question is where is he going to be versus everyone else as they now leave the pit lane? The question is, for Matteo, who's the first person to leave in, how much clean air is he going to have? And unfortunately, the answer for him is none at all. He's gone straight into a battle with Ghost King and Gian. So all of this undercutting opportunity may be hindered by a couple of back markers.
They need to get past as soon as they possibly can. That is as simple as an equation as they are going to get. And Matteo now 2/10 behind Gian. He's got those fresh medium tyres. He's going to have a massive advantage as they head down to the next braking zone. He might not even need to make it to the braking zone, as it's enough to get past. He might get past Ghost King. He might get another move done. Not quite, as he tried to force a mistake from the TTM driver, but he's made one position. Renz is still stuck behind the Ferrari. They're both going to be hoping to make at least one move down this straight.
And then just keeping a very firm eye at the situation at the moment of the lights of Matteo. Back towards the front. Oh, it's a mistake from Silo from the lead of this race. He's gone for a massive late breaker and a double lockup going into the final corner, and he's hemorrhaged the positions. BRT's race has suddenly gone from first, second, maybe first, second, third, straight down to 6th and 8th. Now, Justin will obviously have to do another lap on these tyres. I'm not sure what happened to Silo there, but the change in the race lead is now going to be quite prominent because he made that horrible mistake, double lockup into the corner when off of the circuit. Was lucky to keep it out of the wall, to be fair. Now they've got a race back for the race lead, and at one point it looked like, well, they're going to be able to keep it, no issue at all. Now Matteo is in the net lead.
Well, it might be the case actually that Jerry is able to take advantage. They're all stuck in traffic. Silo stuck in a little bit more traffic than he would have been hoping for because of that mistake, and he's just stuck behind Quantum as there's a move for P3, or well, P2, sorry. It's Volakongo moving up into that second place ahead of Justin, who does drop to P3. And it's a case of now waiting to see how long Jerry can stay on those hards before those tyres start to taper. He's going to try and build as much of an advantage as he can and try to make himself have as little traffic as he possibly can. Matteo, though, he has forced that way through the traffic. He's in the lead of these medium runners, and he's looking very, very comfortable to come out in at least the race lead when Jerry dives into the pits.
Well, there's two things that TTM are known for at the moment in this season of World Online Legacy, World Online Racing's Legacy Division. Unfortunately for TTM, one of them is in regards of their racecraft and the amount of penalty points that they've got. The other one, though, is in regards to their strategies. They absolutely nail it. They brought in Ghost King one lap earlier than everyone else. He's now in second place, well, net second place. Mustache is in a net P4 as it stands so far. So TTM's race, which was looking a little bit precarious, is now looking to be quite a big points earner. And remember, they're battling at the moment with the likes of Tatum Racing Team, who themselves are not earning a big amount of points. And in fact, one of them now with a 3-second penalty. Jerry Van Bussel leaves the pit lane, tries to go side by side with Sergio. Surely shouldn't be racing too hard with those colder medium tyres, and tucks in just behind. He's in P9, so front three yet to make a pit stop. But as it stands so far, as I said, the man who couldn't catch a break has just caught the biggest one of this race so far. It's arguably his best track, and now he leads the Miami Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for Jerry to fight back here, because he's now got the quicker drivers on this field to get through, because he's got the likes of Sergioli, who's been quick so far. He's got the likes of Renz, who I'd argue has been the quickest driver over this weekend so far, and he's got both the TTM boys as well, who've worked their way up strategy-wise to get ahead. I know the head of engineering will be very happy with that if he's still in the chat. But now DRS open for the drivers behind Matteo, and they're going to try to take advantage of the DRS not being available for Matteo. He's 2.2 seconds behind Lolo, so he's got another couple of laps before he's able to get that DRS back. But the battle is not with that Aston Martin. It's not with that ET8 driver. It's, it's Sergioli. He's trying to attack Mustache. Mustache trying to attack Renz, and it looks as though Sergioli is going to get through. No, he's not, because the final corner, he didn't have the traction out of it. Fastest lap goes to Silo, who's in P10. So we've got many protagonists. It's difficult to get track of this with just the 2 eyes that I've got. But Jota, with your 4 eyes, I'm sure that it'll be a little bit easier.
It's a little bit easier, but the problem is for Silo at the moment is that, remember, he was leading this race at one point, and then he makes that mistake, and that little mistake, I say a little mistake, double lock up into the big penultimate corner, has resulted in him now being in a net P8 out of all of this. Can you believe it? So this is just a race that was looking so nice for BRT is suddenly not looking good at all, to be honest with you. Here's Jerry Van Bussel. His tyres now nicely fresh, warmed up and ready to go. Trying to race with Sergio, trying to race with Mustache. Is he going to go around the outside? He is known for doing this, but he also is known for a little bit more patience, and I have a feeling he's not going to go for it. He's going to allow these two to get in their own scrap, but once again, as it stands, Mustache just not able to put too much pressure on Sergio at the moment. TRT, another 3-second penalty this time for Gian for the Italian outfit. Keeping an eye out then at the front here as we're starting to see Acid and Agonize complete their lap. Surely they'll be coming in imminently unless they're trying to go for a hard soft stint, which will be a little bit unorthodox around a circuit like this one. Matteo just coming around the final corner then. Are we going to see Acid and Agonize coming in? We are not. They're going to continue on with the race. Matteo still leading from the front from Renz, who of course will be wanting to convert that pole position that he took earlier on, but the fastest laps are coming in thick and fast. Here comes Jerry Van Bussel against Mustache. He wants that move done. He wants CPI in there, taking the best opportunity to take points out of BRT. This is where it matters now. They just need to get Gatkowski up there. As it stands so far, though, it might just be if Jerry Van Bussel earns enough positions, they might take more points out of BRT.
Yeah, well, Gatkowski isn't going to be able to get up there. If the DRS is broken between Justin and Duncan, it's going to be significantly harder for him to be able to do that. Mustache losing another position, this time to Quantum, and he drops down the field with slightly more worn medium tyres. Are really just feeling the effects of Silo and Quantum, just going that 1 lap less on those tyres. And now Quantum and Silo up to P8 and P9 net, P6 and P7 when Agonized and Acid do dive into the pits. And, it's very difficult to keep track of. With 10 laps to go in this race, it's very difficult as well to predict who's going to come out on top. Renz at the moment looking in a very good position. He might be playing those DRS games. He might be waiting behind Matteo. But at the moment, he could come under pressure from the likes of Ghost King, from the likes of Sergioli, who we know likes to get a absolutely, some may say, crazy move out. We almost saw one in the final corner. He just tucked to the inside of Ghost King, didn't make that move stick, but we know that he's got a penchant for a big move. Some may say a massive move. And over the next few laps, you'd think that he's going to get even more aggressive.
keeping a firm eye on Renz, trying to put pressure on Matteo towards the front of this. Aston Martin doing a decent job actually of just managing the race pace, but everyone not really pushing that hard at the moment, obviously realising this is a marathon, not a sprint, as it was a sprint not too long ago. 9 laps to go in this race. 127 of you tuning in tonight as well. Thank you to every single one of you supporting the series. We appreciate every single one of you enjoying these streams. We'll keep a firm eye what's happening in this race here, because we've got potentially a bunch of people all getting into a big scrap and a big change in positions here, as there goes down the inside line of Renz, who gets the move done, and then Renz will get the move done as Sergio and Ghost King getting into their own mix at the moment as well. And Matteo, who was looking pretty sharp at one point at the front, has just lost 3 positions. He's now down to 4th, but ET8 still lead the race with Sergio.
Yeah, I mean, he's now dropped behind Renz, which is not what he would have wanted at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, it's a great position for ET8 to be in, with 2 of their drivers in net, P2 and P4. It looked in the first stint as though, oh no, I correct myself, P2 and P3 as Matteo makes his way past Ghost King. It's looking as though BRT, they had that first stint just under their thumb, but this second stint, ET8, they've really come alive. Yeah,
they really have come alive now, ET8 in this second stint. The race pace has been immaculate, to say the least. BRT 9th and 10th at the moment. It'll be 7th and 8th after the 2 in front have finally make their pit stops, but it stands so far. The Grand Track 10 and the FRT team are keeping their drivers out longer, so they're hoping for some kind of safety car, I would suspect, or maybe they're going to pit for a set of softs at the end of this race. But as it stands, they're going to fall a pit stop behind at the moment here. But as it stands so far, ET8 1-2 net at the moment. The question is Ghost King and Jerry Van Bussel going to get in the mix as well here, as that McLaren looking so sharp down the straights around the outside. He will go, he likes the outside around this bit as well, but he's boxed in ever so slightly by Matteo, so he's going to get squeezed ever so slightly. Is he going to keep that pressure on? I think he will do, you know, versus Ghost King, or it may have been a slight tap, but Ghost King is determined to hold on to that position. And now Jerry Van Bussel, is offline. Is that going to bring Quantum into the mix?
I'm sure it's going to. And, well, Quantum, he's not able to get the exit that he would have wanted to close into Jorginho. And he's just going to have to sit behind. Ghost King's lost that DRS to the top 3. And so you would expect that now it's a battle between either ET8 drivers and the TF10 man of Renz right up the top. It's the 2 ET8 drivers versus the former ET8 driver at the top of this field, fighting for this race victory. But at the moment, they're actually catching up to Acid and to Agonized, who are at the top of this field. They haven't pitted yet, but they could be moving chicanes for those behind, and it could cost a few of these drivers quite a significant chunk of time.
Right, I'm going to say it now just because I'm pretty sure they want to hear it. Grand Track 10 are currently the race leaders at the moment through Acid, alongside the FRT's Agonized in P2. Now, they have yet to serve their pits, make their pit stops rather, and it's a mandatory pit stop, remember, of course. They started on the hards. They need to move over to the medium or the soft tyre at some point in this race. As it stands so far, they do themselves a favour by not giving up too many positions as hard as they can, because of course any mistake that happens may bring a safety car, and that brings their race right back into play. As it stands so far though, ET8 Agonized is trying his hardest to defend around here as well, and I think a few people are not going to be happy at the moment with this situation. He's still in P2, but with as a ghosted car at the moment, Renz is going to be able to get in through there. He's no longer ghosted, and now he has to race with him. I wonder if there's some damage somewhere for someone here, but Sergio is going to continue on this battle. He's going to have to go for the dive here, but he is defending like a lion, is Agonized at the moment, and I don't blame him, but he will go down the inside, will Sergio, and surely that move is going to be done because he's got the traction. Agonized is going to lose it to Renz as well, no doubt. Agonized is now straight into the pit lane, no surprise. Next is Acid.
I said it was going to cost somebody, and it's cost Renz the race lead, because now Sergio has it, and he's only got to get past Acid and Agonized. He dived into the pits. He recognised eventually that this was not his race, and so he drops right to the rear of the field. He's even going to be behind Lolo as he comes out in P20. We haven't actually had any retirements in this race, despite how close the walls are, which is testament to the abilities of the drivers. But yeah, Renz losing that provisional race lead to Sergio, who's looking to take the real race lead of Acid with the DRS down the back straight sector 2. Sector 2 is the straight down which he's going. Around the outside goes Sergioli. To the lead goes Sergioli. Renz is looking for a move as well. We saw how this went last lap against Agonize. It looks as though Acid is going to make a little bit less. Well, no, he's going to make more of a meal of it as he sends it massively late on Sergioli and Renz, and he retakes the race lead. What a move on 22-lap-old hards. And those two on those hards are defending so incredibly well.
Yeah, he's defending it because, of course, he wants to see a mistake occur. That brings the safety car out because that brings his race right back into play. But unfortunately for Acid, he's not going to have the traction, and that's going to allow Sergio to get the move done. Will Renz get the move done? He will. Will Matteo be able to get close enough as well? He will not on this occasion. Acid, no doubt, will have to make the pit stop now. He's done everything that he can. It's not worked at all, and straight into the pit lane he will go. So now we've got our race for the victory, and we've got 5 laps of racing to go to determine who's going to be that race victor. As it stands so far, we know who the team victor is going to be. ET8 are only big time.
Yeah, at the moment it is looking like an ET8 incredible race from them. First place and third place is where they sit at the moment. Don't forget though, Jerry has had the pace over these, I'd argue, over the rest of the field so far in this one. Only Renz and Matteo have been able to match him. I said Renz was the quickest earlier, but well, he's struggled to make those moves, which I think sways it in the favour of Jerry at the moment. But Renz with that DRS, he's looking like the quickest man on track at the moment, and he's looking to get past Sergioli, just backing out of the move. But a huge send from Justin. He's lost a bit of his front wing. What was he doing? Oh,
no, that's just in there. I think he perhaps wasn't looking for the move on that occasion, but now we're missing a front wing. He's now trying to ghost through people and try and find a position where he's going to be comfortable. But with that missing front wing, BRT's race is going to end up, well, let's say they weren't going to be in for some massive points, but it's going to be considerably worse now as a result of that one. If he has got a missing end plate, I don't see anything missing on my side, but perhaps we'll see it later down the line. Renz gets the move done on Sergio, now 2 and 3 for ET8, as we're just following Justin on there, and he is missing a right end plate on that front wing, so that is probably going to be it for BRT. They're going to hemorrhage time. He's going to end up out of the DRS of Ghost King, and then he's going to be a sitting duck for the 2 Shazoo boys, and then of course his teammate Silo in 9th.
Yeah, because of how close this field is, it's going to be difficult for Justin to just hold on to it. He needs that DRS now, and he needs to use it to full effect to stay in this battle. He needs Ghost King to go relatively slowly in comparison to the rest of the field, just so he can keep up with that P number 5, and that's if Quantum doesn't have anything to say about it. He almost sent it down the inside there into the mid-speed corner. That's very difficult to go through side by side. He's going to have another go at it, you would think, as they go out onto the DRS street. It's open for both of them. Quantum with that slipstream, he's going to try and take either the inside or the outside. Justin defends the inside. Quantum takes the outside. Who's going to be later on the brakes? It's actually going to be Justin who holds that position. Meanwhile, it's side by side, Matteo and Sergioli. Gerino getting in there as well. Matteo dropping that position. Jerry still clinging onto the inside line. And this will be an incredible move if he's able to pull it off. Indeed, he...
Absolutely fabulous there. It looks like we've lost Koskis for a second there. We'll try and bring him back in for a second. But look at this one from Matteo, who is absolutely flying high from Sergio at the moment. But unfortunately, Gerino gets the move done on Matteo. And I think that perhaps because of a little bit of a boxing technique from Gerino. But Gerino is in a better place for that corner, and that's allowed him now up into the podium positions. Top 10, all without time penalties. So this is all for track position with 3 laps to go in this race. TF10 Renz trying to convert that pole position into a race victory and slowly bridging a gap between him and Sergio. Surely going to be reined in by the DRS. Matteo getting closer and closer to try and get that move done and try and get his revenge against Jerry Van Bussel in P3.
Yeah, and well, it's going to be incredibly tight. And it was likely to be these 4 as well. I mean, it was the 3 that we saw in the sprint race: Renz, Jerry, and Matteo. And the chat predicting correctly that Sergioli would be up there as well. And the 2 ET8 drivers, I'd say they have an advantage because not only is one of them in P2, they also have their teammate in the battle as well. So maybe if Sergio wants to try and make that move for that win, Matteo can distract Jerry so that the CPI driver doesn't take advantage of a little mistake or of a little error trying to get through on Renz. But lap 26 to 29, I'm sure at the moment Sergio will be comfortable in that P2 spot, will be comfortable waiting for the final couple of laps to get that DRS, to get past Renz. We saw people trying to do it in the sprint. Now it's time for the end of this race.
Yes, we've got a few laps to go before we get to the checkered flag, but it's a critical set of laps now ahead of us because Matteo will naturally want to be tucked in behind his teammate on that final lap, because of course it means that ET8 can work together, get that move done on Renz on the final lap of this race, work together and take a very classy 1-2, and I'm sure ET8 will be wanting that one. The question is, will Jerry Van Bussel make it easy for them? No, he won't. Jerry Van Bussel never makes it easy for anyone. He's a very classy driver himself, so he'll keep up that pressure, and as it stands so far at the moment, I'll have to argue that Matteo probably not looking as fast at this point in the race here. I'm wondering if he's trying to harvest energy more so to give him a good boost, a good charge against the likes of Jerry Van Bussel, who actually is putting some serious pressure on Sergio. I'm wondering if he's going to go for it here, you know, and he is getting closer and closer and closer. The DRS is open on that McLaren. He'll have to go around the outside, but again, this is one of his favourite places to overtake around the outside. Is it going to be a double? It may be a double as he's going to go around the outside as they go 3 wide into the corner, and that will allow the McLaren to have the inside line of the next corner. He loves the outside of this corner. We know this already. Sergio drops to P3 and Renz just holds on to the lead of this race, but now Jerry Van Bussel up to second and suddenly he's the dark horse in this. Brilliant.
Absolutely, and he was able to get past both of the ET8 drivers, and now at least one of them is going to have to fight their way through. They've all got DRS as they head down the back straight, but Sergio just doesn't have that straight line speed to keep up with Jerry. Is he going to make a send here? He's shaping up for one. He's going to go for one, almost tapping the rear of Gerino. He was able to back out in the end, but the two ET8 drivers holding on to 2 and 3 at the moment, and Renz, he's hoping that they're going to keep fighting for that P2 so that he's able to build that gap up at the top. There's a send, by the way, in the background. Justin and Volokogan, they're going to go side by side. I think it may have been Justin going for one on Ghost King, and now he's lost that position. He's in a sandwich between the 2 Alpine cars. Quantum makes his way through. Volokogan still trying to make his way through. And in the end, it is Quantum who sends his way.
Here comes Silo. Oh my goodness me. Sorry to interrupt Silo getting into the mix, but there as a result of getting blocked by his teammate Thomas. Tomasetto Elia getting into the mix here. And here comes TRT's Christian with that time penalty. Is going to cost him here. But BRT have lost out as a result of all of that scrapping. And the people that have benefited, Team Shizou in P6 and P7 towards the front. It's hard to keep up. Oh, late breaker. And a switchback from TF10's Renz, who's doing his hardest here to try and defend his pole position. Oh, a collision of wheels here. It's getting really intense now as we're on the penultimate lap of this race here. BRT's Silo, 3-second time penalty for his troubles. Tomasetto Elia, 3-second time penalty for his troubles as well. It's all about the top 8 now. Here we go.
Here we go indeed. The top 8 are going to go into the final lap of this race, fighting away. And that is an Aston Martin. That is the other Aston Martin. Both the ET8 drivers trying to go down the inside. Both Jerry and Renz. Huge send. Huge teamwork from them. And it seems to have worked. Sergio's in the lead of the race. Mateo's through to P2. We're on to the final lap of this race. And ET8, all they need to do now is defend their way to the line.
You'll have to forgive me for laughing because Mateo's making a bit of a habit of this, of doing a treble or a quadruple overtake on people at Miami, and it doesn't surprise me one bit. ETA have absolutely nailed that. The question is, will they be able to take the 1-2 after the DRS is all done and dusted, I wonder? As it stands so far, Sergio has got a rocket ship underneath him, and he'll certainly get Driver of the Day performance. The question is will it be Team of the Day with a 1-2 for ET8 as they're coming down the main straight here? DRS now open. Of course, Mateo will have the DRS on his teammate, but the drivers behind are going to have that double dose. As a result of that one, he's going to have to go around the outside. Is anyone going to go for the late breaker? Around the outside, Jerry Van Bussel will go, but it's not going to work on this occasion. Down the inside then, TF10 Renz will have on this one, but he decides not to give this one up, and he's going to wait until the next DRS zone to potentially put ET8 under pressure. Fabulous racing indeed it has been from the likes of Mateo and Sergio on this last lap. But the question is, will Mateo be able to hold on? Is the critical one here. There is a bit of a gap, you have to say, between him and Renz. And if anything, I think he's actually out of electrical energy at the moment here. So ET8 are actually going to manage this pretty well. Jerry Van Bussel going for the late breaker, defending from from the likes of Ghost King. It is going to be a little bit of a mixed bag, but one thing is for certain, ET8 are going to be smiling from ear to ear when they hear a 1-2 at Miami. Fantastic stuff from them. Ren's only managing to get a P3 from podium. TTF's Ghost King, a fabulous 4th place considering. And then Shazoo, 5th and 6th. Justin, 7th. Silo, 10th. The BRT boys cannot get their act together at the moment, and the championship leaders, no doubt, are going to be struggling. They will maintain their lead in the championship, but CPI are breathing down their neck.
Absolutely, and it was only the fact that Gotowski couldn't take advantage of some of this chaos today to come through. It's that, and the fact that Jerry ended up in that little scrap with that 3-second time penalty around the outside in the final sector. It just went all so wrong for Jerry right at the end. He drove almost a perfect weekend, and well, it ended up with pretty much nothing to show for it. Tell you what though, the ET8 boys working together so incredibly well. That first sector was so incredibly crucial on that last lap, because Sergio was able to gap Matteo. Matteo, knowing that he was the faster driver on the race pace, and so he just backed off in that first sector, allowed a 5/10 gap to be built by Sergio, and from then, it was game, set, and match.
I mean, it was that penultimate corner on the penultimate lap that really sold them the win, didn't it? At the end of the day, it was absolutely fabulous from ET8, and usually you'd see a lot of people getting angry in the Discord. I'm just seeing a few comments here saying, fair play ET8, you absolutely nailed that performance, and they take a classy 1-2 from this Miami Grand Prix. Ren's in P3 from Ghost King in P4, Quantum and Valakong and Team Shazoo still without a race win so far this season. 5th and 6th respectively. Justin and Silo fell off the pace completely in that second stint, with Gerino in 8th, Christian in 9th. Towards the back, Gatkowski, Duncan, Tomasetto Elia, Mustache, Rappi, Lafiti Gian, Lolo Acid, and Agonize. No DNFs from this particular race. What an absolutely fabulous race that has been, I must say. You know, at the end of that one then, Kotskis, it's going to be something we're going to have a long-term consideration about here. This season is suggesting that at one point, you know, the likes of BRT were running away with it. Again, they're not earning the points they need in order to be a championship winning team. They're going to have to keep finding where they're making these mistakes, because people are climbing, and they're climbing fast.
Yeah, BRT are a championship. Well, they're a championship winning team. They have it in their DNA, but at the moment, they're not looking like it. They're just looking a little bit. They're looking a little bit edgy. It's looking very uncharacteristic from them. And the teams behind, they're going to be able to take advantage.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're in this position, aren't they, where perhaps they know that they're the championship leaders. And I think from experience and from me watching ET8 for nearly 4 years now, they are better as a team attacking the leaders, not defending as leaders at the moment. So that's perhaps a bit of something in their psyche that they've just got to try and learn. They are championship contenders. They deserve to be in this position. The question is how long are they going to be championship leaders with performances like that? We have got an exciting set of events ahead of us now, because we are in a run of no breaks for just a short while as we go through the calendar. You know, after this one, we have got a little bit of a run, you know, in the season, because we're at Miami. We are now taking a trip across the other end of the United States in Las Vegas next week, then down south in Mexico, and then back up north again for Canada, where between a week break. So a couple of weeks now of good racing in the Americas. Las Vegas then, completely different circuit, but the same principle, isn't it? Very wide street circuit with plenty of straights out there. Should be another manic one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're always going to get mania around in World or the Legacy division, and I think we'll be seeing those sorts of races just filter out towards the end of the season. The likes of Las Vegas, the likes of Canada. We're going to see some absolute chaos, and well, it's going to be even better for it.
Yeah, there we go. There's the calendar on the screen for you now as well, with Miami leading the way, as I said, and what a fabulous round 14 it has been. Las Vegas next week, then Mexico before we take that week break, I believe, for the esports, with Canada then taking another sprint race event before we lead over to Texas. So, you know, last thoughts on this one then, Kotskis. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you alongside me on this one as well. First Legacy Division season, I think, says a lot, really, doesn't it, that these kind of competitions bring so much intensity. Question is will Tier 4 continue bring that form? Will Tier 2 be equally as intense? I wonder, you know, because WOR always brings fun.
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you're further down the line, moves like we saw from the likes of the Aston Martin, from the likes of the ET8 drivers, they're a little bit more scrappy, which I think brings a different dynamic, because when you're going 4 wide, you don't know if you're going to get 4 cars completely intact at the end of it. And I think that it makes it just that little bit more interesting. Adds a little bit more spice to the races that I generally do.
Absolutely fabulous. Thank you very much for being alongside me, Kotskis, on your guest commentary spot. We will be having Joseph Formula 1 with us next week, and hope that after he returns to the university for which he resides. Other than that, it is just me to leave you with the thoughts of this particular race, which is, well, it's been an intense one. We've had a little bit of a gap in the calendar thanks to the esports season, and as a result of that one, the drivers have just having to make sure that they keep the cogs in their brains oiled, well oiled, and make sure that they don't go a little bit too far. Some teams are deciding to go too far, and they're paying the price for it. BRT may just be able to hold on to the championship lead, may have just slightly extended it, but they are not in form at the moment. Can they hold on next week in Las Vegas? Thank you very much for watching. It's been myself, Jota, alongside Kotskis for this World Online Racing Legacy Division Season race in Miami. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye for now.